time to act.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Oh, have you seen the article I wrote about you?
Ha! You've got some nerve! You just used us to make some quick mora!
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss. It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you. I've even set the table with some...
Really? Oh, you're the best!
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be in trouble now, you know.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for me?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought of coming to see you at work.
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here in Fontaine. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil.
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare...
Huh? So your article in the paper...
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about...
Yeah, are we even...
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course. I'll need to...
Oh, in that case...
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to... Ooh, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine...
Huh, that's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, if you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That, from what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than worry. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still... And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as... I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job. And I'd be proud of leaving such an article behind. But anyway, that's my answer.
That's so nice. All of a sudden, Paimon actually kinda envies her. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed No, Paimon should ask if you could... We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. You mean, still traveling? Huh. Wait... Feels like you'll grow mold if you stay here long enough. But it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure. It's not only damp there, but salty too.
Ah, so the two of you are still here. Wonderful.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillat sent me to look for you two before. I heard that after... Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of his. Actually, yes, inside the Opera House. The Maréchaussée Phantom has declared the incident a small-scale riot.
A riot?
Well, that said, I don't personally think it was that serious. Lady Farina was watching a performance at the Opera House, and while she was resting during an intermission, some other audience members suddenly started harassing her, loudly accusing her of doing nothing about the prophecy crisis. And before she could respond, others started to join in. The crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archons started.
So people have started to put the blame on Farina. Guess they finally found an outlet for the pressure they've been under due to the prophecy.
I agree. People will naturally rely on gods, as is customary. But the moment people feel threatened, gods are also the first to be blamed.
So what happened after that? Is Farina okay?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control and that further argument was pointless, she claimed that she'd gotten tired of this and left in a hurry. The Marechaussee Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and did not catch where Lady Farina had gone. Only when things had stabilized did we realize that she had gone missing.
So, you mean she's still missing?
That's right. The Marechaussee has dispatched many people to search for her. But that said, I don't think there's much to worry about. She is a god, after all. Even if she were to good. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to
Don't worry, this is more than enough to go on. Thanks.
Is that so? Well,
Sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then. If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, she'll look for a place to wait out the heat. And, as we also know, she may be loud and dramatic. When Nervillet was talking to her in the Palais Mermonia, and she heard about Poisson, it would be hard for her to ignore being a... Paimon thinks Farina's probably taken the opportunity to... Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the... In that case, there's not a moment to lose. This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. That's Farina, right over there.
Should I just give up? What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry, but what can I even do other than to repeat meaning? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina, it's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from...
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were, disturbing my enjoyment of the arts? They even dare to tout their Archon! I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, and I'm sure Neuvillette and those people from the Marechaussee Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just... that's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with... This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here! Quick, come to Paimon
What? What?
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking?
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Neuvillette made some emergency plans, so the evacuate—
Yeah, but the people of Poisson— It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information back. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. Indeed, I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. But just now, it all became clear to me. As long as the final moment hasn't come, don't worry. I will keep hope alive. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to— Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine—
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually—
Share that's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then—
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very concept of justice to trial?
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it!
What the heck is going on?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of—
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear,
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve. I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the truth. This time, I will applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastic. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine! The trial of the Hydro Archon! Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making history.
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she— Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking the—
All right, then. Who will be my opponent?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat. My... Also, please allow me to ask, as a just how much work did you do to
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean... the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also from the Spina.
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontainian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Areneas. Its cargo, of course, was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary...
You're well...
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull... We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path...
So, in other words, The earthquake that we...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champ... Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Cloran, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel...
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived. Oh? Is that so? It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Oh, let Paimon see. Wait. Then that means this document is a So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right. You defeated... I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time. I guess you could also see this as a happy This is the first time Monsieur Nervilette had a difference of opinion with the Oratrice. Even the Hydro Archon can't figure it out. A Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. Her instinct must mean something. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. That I didn't witness that scene personally will always be a source of professional regret, I think. According to Monsieur Nervilette, both Child and that whale should have been in the primordial sea at that time. I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, that still gives me shivers. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervilette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of the... Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god.
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a...
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon.
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine...
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it...
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Furina's claims, but also overturn the—
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. And if I was not the Archon, then how did I—
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of—
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's—
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally, but in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
Neverlet sensed it too, huh?
Lady Furina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart. Just...
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale in this very opera house, or consider the endemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
To reference the Oratrice. But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof?
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend.
Lady Furina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must— You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against—
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Furina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure, and instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been—
The real Hydro Archon. Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. You can't argue that just because a divine creation—
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's—
My power as an Archon. There are many
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or Is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium! Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone—
Isn't that...
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a...
It seems like nobody's buying Furina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone! Please don't stare at me as if I was a liar! I'm still the same Furina you knew, right? The one that you loved! Shouldn't you please? You've got to believe me!
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And...
Enough! That's enough! Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then if you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, no—
Wow, she came up with yet another argument! How can we— that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound... It has been established that all Fontainians can dissolve in water.
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicion.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution
Super sorry, Miss. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the... including those of some... So, Miss Furina, if we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on us. If you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for—
If Lady Furina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontainian like all the rest of us.
Lady Furina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution, as it falls outside the realm of standard.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession of guilt.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Furina, you may...
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now? I really am your—
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come—
Siegewin? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a... That should be...
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the...
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Furina was displaying... She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial sea...
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Furina, you may...
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater on Poisson. However, After extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual... We don't want anyone else to lose their life to...
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a It's a great thing that the direct sample...
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone! Please don't think about it! How can you conclusively Also, if I was really just a human, what... Please, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Arch...
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's...
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's...
No. The Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct, then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: to be punished via the death sentence.
The death...
That's actually one of the available sentences?
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given...
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her this...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as... Is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of... But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the...
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume...
Mm-hmm. Any mission, Father.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for...
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the But has the trial already concluded? Then...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates, and would like you to come here and...
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine...
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we... So when you say Hydro Archon...
In truth, Everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other... The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the... Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Pipe, the second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But this must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their... The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. Huh. That reminds Paimon, didn't we? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throat. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after...
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women, and the first stone slate tells us that long ago the Hydro Archon used her power to turn Oceanids into humans. This might be the reason that Fontainians can dissolve. Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before. The true sin of the Hydro Archon that Neuvillette mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slates. It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to the same thing?
That doesn't sound quite...
The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society, but not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontainians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy may come true. If we hadn't dealt with it in time,
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court. Shocking. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about. The stone slate's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together... Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! So that's how you can make sense, but then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny.
We're not real humans.
All Fontainians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontainians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior... That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the... In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, however, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, when we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slate. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another...
Well...
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not want to give in. She eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine...
So we were all Oceanids before we...
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard... Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her...
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontaine.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are human. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, therefore, the meaning of that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro. Yes, it refers...
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the...
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will all...
Traveler, I would like to point out another small... About the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of... However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption... As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered... This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only...
The truth, the original sin,
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it is chosen. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the star. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontainians out of Oceanids...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of... Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided...
We just barely managed to push it back, right?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this, even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive.
We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't...
Indeed, that's not how a grand...
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be... Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspective... Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide.
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina!
No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing.
You are not Farina. Who are...
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success.
Focalors. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principle?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dear. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principle. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacle. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that, although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose...
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a...
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive, and the me you see before you now is that divinity. And she could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. Her strengths were of a kind only a human. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalors' divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of... I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human. Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no I cannot begin to fathom.
It has indeed. And although she is, it's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand your admiration. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalors, The eyes of countless Fontainians are upon me. Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Torn to oblivion! Ha! 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 Ha!
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards! Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
No escape!
Rain outlines your fate. Huh? Rain outlines your fate. Witness the power.
Now you shall perish! Ha! 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 Ha!
Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are—
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am—
Wait a moment. You're— mirror me? How—
Mirror you, huh? You know what?
Mirror me. What do you wish to say?
The prophecy.
What prophecy? Wait. I know. The people will all be dissolved into the waters. And only the—
Oh. Very good.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember.
Yes, it will. And that is what—
But doesn't that mean everyone will die?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist. I will tell you how to save everyone, but—
Oh, so there's still hope. As for the suffering, well, but if the prophecy will come true, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine.
I suppose this would also be the
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just
Play as...
That's right. You must begin a never-ending— If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of
But how will I do this?
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real— Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what— Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity, but contending—
I'm still not sure. So, how long am I—
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, but I promise you, all—
A trial, huh? How exciting.
The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession. What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest... Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the Opera Epiclese. I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am Verena de Fontaine. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be my honor as the god Focalor, the god of justice. I shall do all within my power to lead. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send them to the Maison Cardinalise. The future of Fontaine will require us to work together. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully,
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's...
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just...
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone right? Mirmi said that I just need to play calm down, Verena. Think, assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One who can... Oh, very good, my people. Only ones such as you are deserving of my rule. Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim ownership of this opera house, would the children of Fontaine follow them? Well, it seems that you would all see. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut. Now then!
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera?
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor, for we have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice is most fragrant when it blooms amid sin. The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its God. On one side, it must carry fairness and justice. And on the other, praise and applause. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires and drink to the future of Fontaine. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. All that is needed is for you, my people. So long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I stand before the Oratrice, I shall even judge the gods of this world!
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now, was I not just at the Opera House in... Besides, none of these trials were the one that
If I may be so impertinent, what...
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial...
That's true, I fear I lack the ability...
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, to your...
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Oh, I'm afraid that's just an... All right. Deoteria, is it? How is your son?
You remembered me. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. He was the one who forced me to seek an audience with you, and to bring your work.
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again in the future, please do not
You're such a gentle and wise god.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific...
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, I did all manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come.
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that...
Oh, is that so? Well, no wonder. It... The day is finally over. I haven't, but it's good to see that everything's getting on track. There are no longer any voices of maybe this is fine. I just need to keep... Alright, Farina, don't think too hard about this.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases as
There'll be no need for...
Lady Farina, I've waited...
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen. This joyous moment is an honor for us both.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Post...
Understood. Keep monitoring. I don't think I let anything slip today. I feel utterly exhausted.
Lady Farina, it's like a dream being... I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience...
And what a fine...
Surely you accept...
What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
Uh-huh. Real... This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god who's...
No wonder. No wonder. A manifesting...
So interminable.
Hundreds of years must have passed by now. I never imagined. Have I reached my limit? I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. I've conducted so many. All I can do is keep heart. I must.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone, your people are more than willing to share your burden with you.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone. Just share it.
A witness. Yes. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on She's right. I could confide, but if things don't play out as expected... No, Farina. You shouldn't be selfish. But what if... What, Farina? You've worked so hard for so... Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? If you let this opportunity, think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness...
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive, she did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, it seems that trusting humanity was...
I believe that I understand how your deception works. But that is only half. How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine?
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine.
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice with it. It now seems that that person was you. Hidden
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so. Alas, your understanding of this device still... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is... Oh, you have it. And to be more precise... I mean, did you my work over these last 500 years has... But really... Some have already discovered that only a small the vast majority has been, had to be, accumulated.
It was all a part of your plan, then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained but only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's device.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of the...
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad. The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro...
All you've done throughout the years is just...
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm... Hydro Dragon. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing human existence itself. So, if the theft of the primordial seas might, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the in other words, existence was Egeria's justice, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. At this point, we, whether it be my Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, at last. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually... You are a deviant, things being as they are. Surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Iudex Neuvillette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a...
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved...
It's time to end this. We must mete out
Didn't you say just a moment ago?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine. The beast that enact. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come. Done my best to separate the power of the primal beast. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient land. I shall look for an opening together. Feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
No escape! No, my sword! Let me weave you a verse. Here we go!
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Thingy over there. Really scary. Witness the power for what? Brace yourselves.
Granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress this root from within.
There is no escape! Yahoo! No, my sword! Illusion shattered! Now you shall perish! There is no escape! Brace yourself!
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but it was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point. But they bumped into—
That power.
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be. It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other, so you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters, just that kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative, it eats too much, and I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that all in all, it failed.
Miss Skirk?
The point being...
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed it, so what sort of person is your master? Well, child's master's master.
Oh, right. So you don't know him. His name is Sertologi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar.
Huh. So Master is insufficiently famous.
The foul?
Still nothing? Well, how about...
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhine-Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, but I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort.
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary?
Actually, never mind that. I believe that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the Fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now—
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already...
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
All hands, initiate emergency rescue! Hurry!
Hey, lend a hand!
Look! The water's receding! It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong! The prophecy was wrong!
Are you alright?
Yeah.
We're safe.
Astra. Thank you for complete. Ad Astra.